All right, family. Black Power. You are now witnessing General Seti's Mega Mini, a short production with a whole lot of punch and power. Today, we're going to be dealing with the Coptics. We're not ancient Egyptians, but Greeks and Romans. But before we get into the information, I want to let you know that you can become a member of Sara Seti's YouTube page. The link to join is right down in the video description. You can click that link. You'll get an introduction video, a rundown on the membership. If you like, you can see the perks. If you like, you can join. And we appreciate you and your presence over here at Sara Seti's YouTube page. KingSeti.com. Ring the alarm. That's right. Official General Sara Seti t-shirts, tank tops, DVDs, hoodies, African and Kemetic jewelry, holistic tonics and remedies, home decor. We got 25% off at this time. Selected products. Get on over there. Get you some fly products and get you a discount too. KingSeti.com. Pull the fire alarm. GeneralSeti.com. Seti University. Over 1,000 videos on African history, heritage, spirituality, nation building, mental warfare, advanced African academics developing the Black nation one lesson at a time. The complete General Sara Seti website. Get on over there and be amazed. Seti popping on Patreon, BPC making noise. We never come. Exclusive live streams you won't see on no other platform. You get a chance to see the General go live, and we got 185 exclusive live streams that you will not see no other place other than Patreon, and I know you want that fire. Make sure you subscribe to all my YouTube channels, King Seti, General Seti, Sara Seti. Rock the notification bell. Get a video a thumbs up. Like it because you love it and share it with your family and friends. Now let's get off into the information. That's right. The Coptics were not ancient Egyptians, but Greeks and Romans. You see, and this is very critical because this is how they steal the so-called Medunetta. Because you fools out here can't make no a primary source, using primary sources, come to an understanding that the Coptics were Greeks and Romans. Using primary source, you never seen no ancient Egyptians look like this. Now they want to lie and say, oh, well, these are the Fayum, these is Romans. No, the Coptics came with the Greeks and the Romans. You see, when we're dealing with the Coptic period, you talking about 4th century. Is that right? That's right. That's the Coptic period. Okay, and so that you don't have no Coptic period. You said the third, for the late Roman 3rd and 4th centuries. You see, and the Byzantine 4th and 7th centuries. They don't have no presence in the BC. There is no Coptic presence in the BC. I mean, Egypt's last rulers, serious rulers, was in the 25th dynasty. You had a few that come, but we talking about in dynastic, 2 or 3 or 4 kings in a row. And so the 25th dynasty was the last primary indigenous African dynasty. You see? And so that was like 600, 700 BC. So you talking about the Coptics come almost 600 years after the last African rulers, legitimate African rulers. And you got enough nerve to say that these is the last stages of ancient Egypt. How big a liar are you when you got so many nations down through history up to now that had personal relationship, that dealt with Egypt, spoke the same language for thousands of years, were comrades, you see, were brothers and sister nations, such as the Nubians, such as the Puntites, such as the Oxumites. You see, all of these were sister nations on the Nile that spoke over thousands of years, used the same Medunetta, and though they very well may have different vernaculars, they all use the Medunetta from the beginning of the Nile to the end of the Nile. Okay, so for them to say that the Coptics was the last stage of ancient Egyptians is a bunch of bullshit. When you had many other nations that was using the Medunetta. So what happened to them? Did they just disappear? It's just like, you know what I'm saying? What happened to them? They ceased to exist. You see, when the Coptics came along, so that's garbage. But when you look at the Coptics, you can see that they are white people. And that's very significant because we're going to get off into this. You see, this is how they steal ancient Egypt, okay? This is how they steal ancient Egypt. Let me get them in here. Now, I got to go hard now. I got to go hard. The Coptics, okay, are the bastard children of the Greeks and Romans. You see, that's who they are. And some of them, and they left them there. You see what I'm saying? To be a fifth column in ancient Egypt, in which they could be, administrators, and you understand what I'm saying? And, be managers of the Greco-Roman Empire there. But that's all they were. But this is very, very significant because it shows you that these are from the Fayum in Egypt, that when they saw white people, they depicted them as white people. You see? So, if the other Africans, when you look at Queen T, if she was white, it wouldn't have been hard because we could see that there was other times where they depicted individuals as white. They used white skin tone. They didn't use a dark melanated skin tone as you see right there with the Empress Queen T. And she was an empress, and they slight her, and they slight many of the queens of ancient Egypt by just acknowledging that they were queens when at that time they were actually empresses, that they ruled during the time of the empire. But they don't even want to say that because that would mean there was African empresses before there was even white kings on the planet. Because you didn't get no damn kings until the Greeks. That was the first civilization they ever produced. So which means that there was African empresses thousands of years before the first white king ever ruled on the planet. That's embarrassing to them. And this is another reason why they need to change the Egyptians from black Africans to white, to Caucasians. You see, so even when you're looking at this fake Nefertiti, fake as hell, you see, clearly, and look just like the Fayum mummies. You see, they almost look like sisters, don't they? See, so clearly there were depictions of white people in Egypt. So if Nefertiti was actually white, it wouldn't have been a problem to depict her as such. So you didn't have to come back and do a recreation to make her white, because we could clearly show that they created portraits of white people in Egypt during the time of the Greeks and Romans. And you know what? They made them white. See? They made them white. It's not hard for an artist who see a white person to make them white. It's not hard. We can see this. So why do they have to come back, okay, and recreate the Egyptians to be white? Okay? Why do they have to come back and recreate them when most artists get it right the first time? You see? Now, and so here we go. We look at Queen T. If she was a white woman, they would have done the same as with the right. Where you see on the right, you see a white Fayum mummy, obviously was a white woman. You know what they did? They created a white the first time. You see? And so now they got to come back and recreate the Egyptians to be white. You see? So I want y'all to understand this is how they're using the Coptics, because they know they're Greeks. They know they're Greeks. They didn't speak no African. The Coptics did not speak African. Okay? They grouped them over there with the Arabs and the damn, those peoples that were foreign to Africa. Okay? Not one time have you ever seen an ancient Egyptian with this color, unless they was depicting death. And I'm serious about that. In Africa, many times when there's death, and you will see that many of the people, they paint themselves white. You see, they do. They paint, look it up. They paint themselves white. That's the only time you see it. Even in many of the funerary papyruses, you see the sisters then painted they cell white. You see they white totally. You see what I'm saying? And that's the only time. So you see that is only during funerals, and you can see it even today in many African ceremonies where they paint themselves white. You see? So ain't no goddamn way you gonna be in no ancient Egypt and you that damn pale. Unless you staying in the damn house all damn day, hiding from the damn sun. I don't give a goddamn if you is white. If you go to Egypt and you stay in Egypt, your ass gonna be red. You ain't gonna be white. You gonna be red, but you ain't gonna be white. I tell you that. That sun beat on your ass for one day. Your ass is gonna change colors. Period. There ain't no other way. Ain't no person gonna stay white like that unless they hiding. They ain't even coming outside to stay white like that. And I don't even believe you can stay in the goddamn house and stay that and be that white. Goddamn sun so powerful, it's gonna come through the guy. You're gonna have to have every window in there blocked. You understand what I'm saying? And I still don't believe you're gonna have to stay in the house all day. You see, that's the only way. They were very successful in creating images of whites during the times of the Romans. They were very successful. So why would they have to come back thousands of years later and recreate them? And many of these Fayum look just like the Nefertiti. That's who they're trying to depict. You see, the Coptics are not ancient Egyptians. Stop this madness. Nowhere in no dynastic period in Egypt that they ever used white. What are y'all talking about? The Copts. Show me what the fuck the Copts look like then. These are the Coptics. And they want to say, oh, no. Yes, because you're embarrassed that you let Champollion lie to you and tell you that he used Coptic to help translate the Medunetta. That was a serious flaw. That was one of the major reasons why I said he never created, even though the methodology was false anyway, the methodology in totality, but that was another critical mishap that he used. He wasn't going to be successful, no way, but he just started piling up. You see, using the goddamn Coptic. Man, get out of here. They ain't got nothing to do with ancient Egypt. Okay, now look at the fake cut. Many of the portraits of the recreation of Tut look like many of the Fayum mummies. You see, when you look at the mummies of the Coptics at the Fayum, they look just like the recreation. So that's letting you know when you look at them Egyptians today, see, a lot of people don't understand that they are a bastard creation. It's so many. You got to understand who been in there. See, they trying to lie and use all that DNA. That's a manipulation. You have to look at the consecutive conquests that happened. You see, even up into the damn Albanians with the Turks and the Albanians and the Turks and the Russians. People don't even talk about that. Who came in there under Muhammad Ali? You see, and the Turks that conquered into Egypt. You understand? The Mamelukes. You see, the Persians, many of them was already Africans. You see what I'm saying? But the Arabs, who was a mixed breed people. You see, they mixed breeds. They know them. They didn't originate. They're a bunch of tribes that didn't bred together. That's all that they is. So, so when you look down through the years, those peoples in Egypt today are a bastard people, a mixture of a whole lot of goddamn vagabonds. Talking about they Egyptians. You see, you don't see nothing that look like Zahid Hawass on no wall or no statue nowhere in ancient. He looked just like them Fayum mummies. And he don't even look like that. He looked like one of them damn, the family that walks on all fours. You see, I didn't put his picture up and there. He looked just like the man that was walking on fours. He looked just like him. And that's not even a joke. Okay, so when you look at what they're doing, they trying to cast the Coptics as the last stage. You see what I'm saying? And so they recreating it so it looked more similar to them today. You see what I'm saying? This is a usurpation of the original people that was in the land that are still there. People say, well, where they went? They went back up south, where they came from. People say, well, where did they go? Where are they now? They went back up south, where they came from. Why are they not? A lot of them, because they, who wants to be in the, and so they knew that there was still primary prize land up the river. It ain't like they running into no caves and shit. They say, well, where's much better land up south? So it wasn't like but they shouldn't, and so they could regroup. They're not going to live down with the oppressors. They ain't going to live with the oppressors. They're going to live somewhere where they can live in peace for a minute so they could get themselves together and regroup. Kind of shit is that? You ain't never heard of people retreating to a safer place? Europeans got goddamn castles. They retreat into their goddamn castle. You see what I'm saying? And lock the damn doors and shit. You understand? And so our people chose to go up the river. That's what they chose to do. And so if they saw white people, they created white people. You see here? Every time I show this, so you see all this. So what is the problem? Why do they have to recreate the Africans to look like Europeans today? When there were artisans during the Greco-Roman times who obviously drew white people to look like white people. See, they didn't draw them to look African so that somebody would have to come back 2,000 years and make them look white. That don't make no sense. See, we are being duped today because we don't understand how to do research. You see, now this is primary sources right here for the Coptic period. You see, the Greco-Roman period. You see, this is a primary source for that time. It cannot be used previous to the Greeks and Romans coming in. So it's a primary source for the Greco-Roman time, but it's not a primary source for times previous. You see, to their coming into Africa. You see, you have to stay to the time period. And so when you obviously the Greeks and the Romans was white. We understand that. And they drew themselves to be white. Why did the Egyptians fail if they were white people? Why did they fail in creating themselves white the first time when everybody else is successful the first time? Okay, I like yelling because you niggas and you Cro-Magnums is dumb as hell to think we that stupid to fall for what is obvious standards in research. Okay, we're going to go over the primary source once again for everybody out there that don't understand what a primary source is. Let me run it down once again for you. What a primary source is. Okay, a primary source are the raw materials of history, original documents and objects that were created at the time of study, not 2,000 years later, 3,000 years later, such as the Medu Nata, such as these recreations of Tut and Nefertiti and all of that. They are different from secondary sources, accounts that retell, analyze, reanalyze, or interpret or reinterpret events, usually at a distance of time and place. You see? And so you got to understand that, when you deal with the primary sources, the ancient Egyptians never drew themselves to be white people. Okay? This is a Plato reconstruction. You see what they do? When they make a reconstruction, it look almost exactly as the original. This is Marcus Aurelius. Look almost exactly as the statue, the original. Why are the ancient Egyptian reconstructions so unlike the original? You got to ask a very serious question to yourself. This is General Sara Seti. This is a mega mini, a short presentation that packing a whole lot of punch. I thank you for being here. We got more to come, more presentations. Be on the lookout. Black Power.